You can either unmute or put it in the chat box if a screen is visible or not. Yeah, thank you, Chiranjeevi. Thank you. So let us start today's class, in which we'll be dealing about learners' characteristics, individual differences, motivation, and we'll be looking into the diverse learners that are there in the classroom. Right? So as usual, before we start, please subscribe to our Tej Academy YouTube channel, because here we upload the classes that are going on here. Whatever we have a discussion here and whatever we learn is uploaded in the YouTube channel. Other than that, we also put flashcards for important topics so that you can quickly grasp and remember things, and other information regarding the examination that they're trying to attempt. Latest updates are also put in the YouTube page. So kindly subscribe to our Tej Academy YouTube channel, and whatever classes that we're taking, the detailed notes of these classes are available on our Tej Academy app. You can just scan the QR code given here, or go to Play Store and type Tej Academy and download our Tej Academy app from the Google Play Store. The Academy app has the similar symbol that is available on the screen. The color is a little lighter, that's all. The light blue, the color blue here is lighter in the app icon that is there on the Play Store. So let us start today's session. So individual differences, when we say individual differences, these are the variation among individuals, right? What are these variations? These are this might be regarding to a single characteristics or various characteristics that are present in students. But in today's session, we are going to focus on two key areas. Why these two key areas? Because these two key areas are the one from which maximum number of questions have come in the PYQs. Let it be any teacher recruitment examination, or let it be CTET examination. These two key areas have been focused a lot. Either direct questions are asked or situation-based questions are asked. And these two key areas are intelligence and learning styles, right? So we are going to delve into intelligence, learning styles, and we're also going to go into individual differences. This all individual differences thing I had talked about in before itself, that we need to understand the reality of a classroom where we have diverse group of learners. When we say diverse group of learners, everyone has a different way of grasping knowledge, right? Understanding. Everyone comes from a different social background, a cultural background, right? And even sometimes there are classrooms where the language that students speak in a single classroom is also pretty different. So to cater to all these needs, right, we need to know specific things. And in today's class is going to focus on them. So understanding individual differences. What are these individual differences? Individual differences are the variation among individuals, right? I was talking before to single characteristics or to a number of characteristics. And what we are focusing in today's session will be intelligence and learning styles. In intelligence also, we are going to talk about one major theory that is widely accepted and on which multiple questions have come in various teacher recruitment examinations. At least one question usually does pop up from this intelligence theory. So when we go ahead, it is Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. You all might have heard about it before itself. Howard Gardner proposed the theory of multiple intelligence, right? And he has talked about 8 distinct types of intelligence that are present in individuals. And this 8 different types, he's not saying that every individual has only one type. He's saying every person has a unique blend of these. They are good at something, they are not so strong at other types of intelligence. But these 8 intelligence are present in every individual. So what are these intelligence? Right? If we go from the starting, the first one is naturalist. The naturalist type of intelligence. Or we can say they're nature smart. What do we say? What do we mean when we say naturalist intelligence? It is the ability to recognize and categorize elements of natural world. Okay, I'll repeat again. It is the ability to recognize and categorize elements of natural world. If I take an example, we can say a student is fascinated by how plants, animals, or weather patterns look. If you just look behind me I don't know if it's visible or not, but it's a very pretty sunset today in Mysore, and the sky is completely pink and there are lavender and a lot of colors in the sky. So, naturally, the intelligent person is attracted towards nature. He's nature smart. He's able to recognize different elements, different things that are there in the natural world. That is naturalistic intelligence that Howard Gardner has talked about. Second one is musical, right? Musical intelligence, also known as music smart. So these intelligence the individuals who possess strong musical intelligence have sensitivity to rhythm and sound. They are very quick at grasping music. They're very quick. They're very smart at creating music. We can say that big composers. We can take the example of A.R. Rahman or Hans Zimmer, or there are a lot of other people, Shankar Ehsaan Loy, or even singers. Right? They are very quick at grabbing music or understanding just by tabs and other things. If you're into music, and if you're into watching podcasts or other things, where how these musicians or the artists have come up with a particular song or a beat. They say that I was just sitting somewhere, I was thinking about it, or I heard something being tapped, or working in a particular fashion, and I took it into a music. So they have a very strong sense of musical intelligence. The student who is always humming, tapping, or easily learns to play an instrument can be categorized, or can be put into a category that this particular child has a strong musical intelligence. So musical intelligence is sensitivity to rhythm and sound. Okay, so they'll be easily able to gauge the pitch, tone, and other things. Next one is logical mathematical. Okay, logical mathematical, it means they are very strong at numbers, and also they are smart at reasoning. They're very good with reasoning. When we talk about logical mathematical intelligence, we say that they have a strong skill with numbers, and they're very good at logic. So we can say these type of students are the ones who are very good at puzzles, right? Or who are very good at solving experiments, or when a logical problem comes, right? They're very strong at it. So this is logical mathematical intelligence. The next one is existential. Okay. The next one is existential intelligence. What they're talking about here, uh, they're very good at tackling questions of the why, where, how part of the life. Actually, there are extra added. When we talk about Howard Gardner's, there are 8 major intelligences, but yeah, it's existentialists. They are very strong at tackling questions like who am I, what is my purpose here, right? And what should I contribute to society? If you have learned about existentialism, and if you have learned about Sartre, Kierkegaard, and others have talked about it, they are very strong at that, the philosophical understanding, and the answering the questions of why, right? Those things come here. Then the next one is interpersonal. Okay. The next one is interpersonal. There are two, intra and inter. Interpersonal means among people, people smart. Interpersonal means the ability to understand and interact effectively with others, right? And when it comes to intrapersonal, it is self smart, within, the ability to understand oneself, the skills like reflection, self awareness, right? Students who are very good at understanding their own weaknesses and strengths, they have very strong intrapersonal intelligence. And people who are natural leader, who are a very empathetic person who easily understands others, right? They have very strong interpersonal intelligence. So that is intrapersonal and interpersonal. The next one is bodily kinesthetic, that is body smart. They're very good at using one's body, the skills that they have. These people might be athletes, they might be dancers, right? And students who learn very quickly by doing things. That is, we say a kinesthetic, by doing things, or by moving things, or opening them, closing them, all those things. So these kinds of learners who are very good at specific things are called bodily kinesthetic intelligence, right? Who are very good at using one's own body. Then the next one is linguistic. Linguistic is word smart. They are very skillful with words. Uh, Dr. Nagaraju, can you please start annotating the screen? Yeah, I think it was an accident, no issues. Yeah. So when we talk about linguistic intelligence, these people are smart with words. Students who love to read, who love to write, who love to tell jokes. I had a friend in my class. He's still my friend. He was my classmate in 11th and 12th. And that boy was a beautiful poem writer, right? And he used to write poems. And when we asked him what is the source of these poems, he used to say that these poems come to him in dream. There's a whole scenario that goes on in dreams. And the moment he wakes up, he used to write it as a poem. And he was very good with words, vocabulary. He was very good with vocabulary. So that is linguistic intelligence. The next one, intrapersonal, I already talked about. And they have also given spatial intelligence. That is picture smart. People who have the ability to think in three dimension, right? These can be learners who love to paint, right? Who love to build things, who love to read maps, or students who love to draw in general, right? So that is spatial intelligence. They're very smart with imagining things. So this is Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. So what he's saying, the most important thing here, what he's trying to say is these intelligence are not particular, like we cannot say that every individual has only one type of intelligence that he has talked about. Every person has a unique blend of this. Some individuals are very good at linguistic part, while some are very good at bodily kinesthetic part, where others are very good at intrapersonal or interpersonal skills, right? Some have very strong blend or are average at almost all of things. Some are very good at most of the things. So this is how Howard Gardner has classified the intelligence. Any doubt here? Do you want me to explain anything specific in this regarding Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence? Okay, okay, thank you. Moving on to the next one, let us now look into the learning styles. Learning styles means how we process information. What is the style of learning? How does an individual learn best? So we all know there are three major types in this: visual, auditory, kinesthetic. So you can remember it as VAK, right? Sometimes they also say VARK. They include reading and writing. So most of the times others include reading and writing into kinesthetic itself. And then others either say VAK, that is on the screen, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Some say VARK, that is visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic. So who are these visual learners? Visual learners, they were the ones who prefer to learn by seeing, right? So when you as a teacher are using diagrams, charts, videos, or even written instructions in the classroom, they are very these type of students who are visual learners very quickly grasp the information. So as a teacher, the tip that you have is include as many as possible visual clues for students while you teach in the classroom, because they learn the best by seeing things. And the second category is auditory learners. They prefer to learn by listening. So these people thrive in lectures, discussions, and by talking things through. Auditory learners. You might have seen classmates, or you might have been one of the student who just sits, sometimes does not look at the board, or the teacher just closes their eyes and starts listening to whatever is happening and start imagining whatever the teacher is explaining. Right? So these type of learners are auditory learners. So their preference is to learn by listening. So, as a teacher, the tip that you might get is use group discussion in classrooms, use debates in classrooms, and ask students to summarize the concepts, ask students to reflect on what they have learned. These type of activities in classrooms are going to help aid the auditory learners. Then the last one is kinesthetic learners. These are called the tactile learners. Kinesthetic learners are also known as tactile learners. These learners prefer to learn by doing, right? Because they want to use their arms, their hands, right? Kinesthetic. So they learn by doing, moving, and touching. They need hands-on experience, these type of learners. So including activities in classroom, including role playing, including experiments in classroom will allow students to use as much as possible these kinesthetic things and help the learners who are strong kinesthetic learners. But as a teacher, the most important thing that one has to remember is the best teaching practice is not to diagnose every learning child, but to use an approach that aids all the three types. That's why, okay, I've not added here. So a teacher should always use multi-sensory approach in a classroom, right? This is nothing but a blend of visual, auditory, kinesthetic elements to every lesson in your class, so that you'll be able to engage all these different types of learners in the classroom. Any doubt here in this slide? So remember, questions are usually asked based on the types of learners. So remember, major ones are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and how the learner have also been discussed here. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So yeah, as I was saying, the best teaching practice is not to diagnose every learner's style, but using a multisensory approach. That is by incorporating visual, auditory, and kinesthetic elements into every lesson to engage all learners. Now let us come into motivation. So motivation plays a very important role in your classroom, and as teachers, you have to you have to make sure that every learner is motivated to learn. If a learner lacks motivation to learn in the classroom, then the learning might not be effective. And again, when we talk about motivation, motivation is of two major types. First one, as you can see on the screen, is intrinsic motivation, the motivation that comes from within, right? And the second one is extrinsic motivation, motivation that comes from the outside. Let us try to understand these two in detail. What is intrinsic motivation and what is extrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivation is a desire to do something because it is inherently interesting, right? You find it very interesting, you enjoy doing that work, or you are very satisfied. If I take the example, I can say you like playing a particular sport, let it be volleyball, badminton, cricket, whatever it is. So you have strong motivation. When it's evening time, when you were children, you used to just wait for that clock to hit 5 o'clock so that you can run away to play. Right. So you had that intrinsic inner motivation to go and do. The reward of is the activity itself. So the reward in intrinsic motivation is the activity itself because you love doing it. So if I take multiple examples here, we can say some students love painting. So when they want to paint, right? Just if so even a sketch is available, a pen is available, and a paper is available, they start sketching or they start doing it. If colors are available, they start painting because they love it. The job itself, the work itself is motivation for them, which comes from within. And you might have seen students whom we call bookworm. They read books for hours and hours, and they love the book they're reading or they love reading stories, right? So the work that they do here itself is motivation. So it is the first one is intrinsic motivation that comes from inside, and it is a desire to do something that they find interesting. Now, as a teacher, how would you foster or encourage this intrinsic motivation among your children? So, the key is to satisfy the given below three major psychological needs. First one is autonomy. Give the student freedom. Give them different choices when you're giving them a particular task. So when you're asking them to, do research on a particular topic or prepare a model on a particular topic, you can give them different types, or you can ask them to explore on their own than giving a particular structure and you just saying that go like this. Then second one is mastery. Here, you can create tasks that are challenging but achievable to build a sense of completion, competence among them. So that they'll be able to master the skills of a particular task that they love to do. Then the third thing is to make students understand the purpose of what they're doing, which is very important in a classroom that does not happen. So as a teacher, you have to help them see the relevance of what they're doing in the classroom and how is it connected to learning and their daily life. So this was about intrinsic motivation. If any doubt, please ask me. We'll move on to the next one. The next one is extrinsic motivation. Please don't confuse because intrinsic has come here and extrinsic has come on top. There's a second heading. So what is extrinsic motivation? Extrinsic motivation is the desire to do something to obtain external reward. From outside, you have support, right? From outside, you have a push. Or extrinsic motivation can also be to avoid something, right? If I'll not do this work, I might get scolded. So that acts as extrinsic motivation to complete a particular task. So if I'll take an example, a student completes their homework to to avoid being scolded by the teacher, not because they like doing it, but there is an extrinsic motivation, right? Or if I take a positive example, a student studies hard to get a good grade, or we can say some teachers tend to write good, very good in books, right? In answer sheets of the teacher, write good, very good, excellent. So to get that, the motivation of the child is to get the reward from the teacher, right? So they study hard for that. So this is extrinsic motivation. So classroom use is extrinsic motivators can be useful for getting students to start an uninteresting or unnecessary task. No, not sorry, for a necessary task, not unnecessary. For example, if you want students to do a particular task in the classroom, right, which they're not motivated to do. So you can provide this extrinsic motivation where you can motivate them, you can tell them about how it is beneficial for them and how they might get rewarded at the end, they'll start doing. So the goal should always be to move students from extrinsic motivation to intrinsic, right? And one more thing that you have to remember is too much extrinsic motivation can decrease the intrinsic motivation. So you have to blend, you have to equally focus on giving a good amount of extrinsic motivation so that it will motivate them to take up the task than just, complete the task because this person is behind us. So this is extrinsic motivation. So what you have to remember here majorly is motivation. What is motivation? Motivation is of two types. Intrinsic, that comes from within. Extrinsic, that is from outside. It can be reward, it can be punishment, whatever it is. Then, now let us move on to addressing the diverse group of learners in our class. So we all say, now we know that classroom has students with different intelligences, right? Different learning styles and motivation also differ. So now the question comes, how do you teach them, right? And the answer to this is inclusive education. And what tool will you use to teach them? The tool is differentiated instruction. So differentiated instruction is something that we have to use in the class. So what is differentiated instruction? It's not creating a separate lesson plan for every child. If you start doing that, if you start creating a lesson plan for every child based on their needs, right? An audio, because the intelligence are very different, and then your types of learners are also different, then you'll be in a big mess. It's not about creating separate lesson plan for every child based on their needs. It's about tailoring an instruction within a single lesson that will involve all the components which will meet the needs of all learners. So that is what is differentiated instruction talking about. When you plan a lesson, for example, you want to teach a class on photosynthesis, right? And here you can bring in the real plant, you can show them photos, you can show them a nice chart, you can make students touch the plant and see what is happening, right? All those things can be done so that you'll be able to include all the different types of learners. And you can, there are different topics in physics. If you're taking topics, you can make them do the activities and all. So, what we are trying to say here by differentiated instruction is that including different types of activities in a single classroom so that all the learners are addressed, their needs are addressed here. It's about tailoring instruction within single classroom to meet needs of all learners. Then, how we can differentiate this into three major areas. When we talk about differentiated instructions, we can differentiate in three major areas. First one is content. So content talks about what we teach. So here in content, you can use materials at various reading levels, right? You can also provide information through both text and video. You can write on board and you can show them a video also. If I take an example, in a history class, some students might read complex primary source document, right? And others will be summarizing the version of it. Then visual learners, to aid visual learners, you can show a small documentary about the same topic. So now visual is covered, auditory is covered, and kinesthetic is also covered. Kinesthetic is trying to summarize what is happening. And for kinesthetic, if you want to go ahead, you can connect a role play on the same thing, right? On the same topic, you can try to connect a role play of what exactly happened during that time. So all the needs are covered in the classroom. Yes, Anup, you have any doubt? Anup, do you have any doubt? Okay, I think he accidentally turned his mic on. No issues. Next, let us look into process. First, we looked into content. Okay, we have to decide the content and we have planned the content of what are we going to include and how are we going to cater to different types of learners. Now, let us come into the process. That is, you actually going and teaching. So, how we teach. So, here what you can do, you can offer a mix of individual activities, small group level activities, or an entire class level activity can be included. Then providing hands-on activities for whom? For the kinesthetic learners. Then you can use assignments that are at various level of complexity. There are easy assignments, there's classroom assignment we're talking about, not home assignment, which are of different level of complexity. That is, some are very easy, some are very difficult. And to aid. So if we'll take example, you're teaching them about fractions, and some students work with physical fraction blocks, right? They're trying to work with the blocks of numbers and all, but some might solve the problems in group, right? That is interpersonal and auditory is covered there. And some might work on challenging abstract problems alone. That is logical mathematics. So if you're able to provide all these things, students can pick what they want to work on based on their interest. Then next thing is you have to see what is the product of how you have taught. That is how students show what they know. So allowing students to demonstrate their understanding in different ways is very important. So if we'll take an example, they show how they have understood a story. So what a student can do, a linguistic learner can write a traditional essay. A kinesthetic one can do a drama in the classroom of a particular scene that has happened in the story. And uh, the musical one can compose a song about the.
Okay, okay. And the same
Anup, can you please mute yourself? I hope I'm audible to you, Anup.
Okay. And the మాట్లాడుతున్నా
Anup, can you please mute yourself? Anup? Okay, I think we are not audible to him. It's okay. So this was about, so in today's class, we have covered a lot of things. We have covered Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence. Anup, can you please mute yourself? Yeah, I think he's not able to hear us. Okay, I request the admin to please mute Anup. I hope it's possible. Yes. So we have looked into individual differences and majorly we have looked into intelligence. And we have looked into Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Right here, he has proposed 8 distinct types: linguistic intelligence, logical, mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, musical, intrapersonal, interpersonal, and naturalistic. Then we have also learned about learning styles. So there are 3 major ones: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Then we have also learned about motivation. Motivation is also of 2 types. One is intrinsic motivation. The other one is extrinsic motivation. And we have learned about differentiated instructions, how we should plan our class to meet the needs of this diverse group of learners, and what we can do with respect to content, with respect to how we teach the process, and with respect to how students show what they know. That is a product. Yes. So this is what we have learned in today's session. Let us get into questions. Before we start the questions, do you have any doubt? Yes. Any doubt? Okay, I'll take your silence as a no. Let us move on to the questions. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. So in the chat box, they have said they have no doubt. So the first question is, a teacher asks students to create a storyboard to represent the plot of a novel. This activity primarily caters to which of Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences? Linguistic, interpersonal, logical, mathematical, and musical, spatial and bodily kinesthetic, intrapersonal and naturalist. Look at the question very carefully. Yes. So Rajiv says it's A. What about others? He says linguistic and interpersonal. What about others? Read the question carefully. What is being asked here? Teacher asks students to create a storyboard to represent the plots of a novel. Okay, Kavita says it's C. Others, please answer. No problem if you're wrong. No issues if you're wrong. If you're wrong, it's better you'll learn something. Okay, she says linguistic and interpersonal. Pallavi says linguistic and interpersonal. Okay. You all have an idea of what does a storyboard means? You can put it in the chat box. You can just unmute and speak. What do you understand by the term a storyboard? Or if you might have used a storyboard when you have done your internship or now as you're teaching in a school, you might have used a storyboard or asked students to prepare a storyboard for a particular story, right? Or a novel that is being discussed in the classroom. Yes. So, in the process of preparing a storyboard, which type of learner gets the most benefit? Yes, Rajiv, you're correct. Something to represent not exactly a map. We can say map, but it's more like a sequence of things how they proceed, right? But yeah, I can we can say map also. Like it represents type of how the story moves, how the plot moves. So while preparing this, which type of learner gets the most benefit? Because you are preparing it using your hands, you're trying to cut things off and write things and all. So who is getting most benefit here? And then again, to prepare a storyboard, you have to plan how much dimension are you going to take there, right? Then how you are going to manage the space that is given here in that storyboard to represent the entire story. So which type of learner is getting the most benefit here? Chiranjeevi says C. Others? So the correct answer is C. It is spatial and bodily kinesthetic. See, the question is very clearly asking here. The students are asked to create a storyboard, okay, to represent the plot of a novel. Linguistic and spatial. Once again, Pallavi, and to all of you, I would like to say that see, most of the intelligence do overlap to some extent, but we have to understand the question very clearly. The linguistic aspect technically does come in all the tasks that we do, but here it's not that strong. Spatial and bodily kinesthetic intelligence are much more required to plan the storyboard. I agree that linguistic does come here, but then the strongest one that are addressed here are spatial and bodily kinesthetic. That's why Howard Gardner said that it's not individual thing that they possess, but the blend of all. So the correct answer here is spatial and bodily kinesthetic. Please remember, though your answer does make sense, the best answer has to be picked here. Right? Logical mathematical does not make sense because both musical and logical mathematical is not done here. Interpersonal, no, not a naturalistic also. Linguistic, yes, but it's interpersonal also because they're collaborating. They're saying students here. So yes, option A does make sense, but option C is the strongest here. So the correct answer for this is option C. Any doubt? You can always initiate a discussion and we can surely have a discussion. Always, supportive of that. Pallavi or anyone else? Okay. So I hope this is clear. So please remember what the question asks and specifically what you have to do for that specific question. Moving to the next one, a student who consistently completes his assignment by only receiving praise, right? His assignments only to receive praise and stickers from teachers is driven by intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, mastery oriented goals, performance avoidance goals. Rajiv says it's B. Okay, Nagaraju also says it's B. What about others? Yes, Kavita, Nagaraju, and Rajiv, you all are correct. It is extrinsic motivation because the student is doing the assignments only for the external praise and reward in the form of stickers. Yes, the correct answer is here is extrinsic motivation. So this mere understanding of concept is enough, so that when a statement is given, when a situation is given, you are able to relate it to what type of motivation it is and what is being done here. Great. Moving on to the next one. Differentiated instruction is a teaching philosophy based on the premise that all students should be given the same work to ensure fairness. Different instruction should be option B. Instruction should be tailored to accommodate students' individual differences. Option C. Teachers should group students permanently based on their ability levels. Option D. The curriculum should be simplified for all students in a diverse classroom. So Chiranjeevi says option B. Rajiv has also said option B. Nagraju says option C, and Pallavi says option B. Kavita says option B. Nagraju, you have selected option C. If teachers is grouping students permanently based on their ability levels, right, it will not be beneficial for the students. And if you look at the option B, which most of your peers have selected, instruction should be tailored to accommodate students' individual differences, right? This is the correct answer, because this is what differentiated instruction teaching philosophy is based on. Yes, yes, great. Thank you. Yes, yes, Rajiv. Moving on to the next one. A student who learns best through hands-on experiments, role-playing, and building models is likely a or an auditory learner, visual learner, kinesthetic learner, or read and write learner. So almost all of you have selected C, and you're correct. It is the kinesthetic learner, because tactile based work is being given here to the student, right? Kinesthetic work is being given here to the student. So the student will be learn best through this method is the kinesthetic learner. Correct. Moving to the next one, according to Howard Gardner's theory, a student who is highly empathetic, works well in groups, and can mediate conflicts in strong is and can mediate conflicts is strong in which intelligence? Intrapersonal, interpersonal, linguistic, logical, mathematical. Yes, Pallavi has said it is B. Kavita also says it's B. What about others? Chiranjeevi says it's B. Nagaraju, yes, you all are correct. It is interpersonal. Inter means within, for people. Intra means within yourself. Inter means among people. So the student who can mediate conflicts and who can work well in group and is highly empathetic is a has strong interpersonal skills. Great. Moving on to the next one. A teacher allows students to choose between writing an essay, creating a podcast, or designing a poster for their final project. This strategy is most effective for fostering competition among students, rote memorization of content, compliance with classroom rules, intrinsic motivation through autonomy. Pallavi says it's D. What about others? Kavita says it's D. Okay, Chiranjeevi also has said D. What about Rajiv and Nagraju? Yes, yes. Thank you. So this question technically is like choose the odd one out kind of thing, right? No teacher would like to, do a competition among students until and unless it's required for. And this task does not, you know, expect to be creating a competition among students. Rote memorization of content is not at all our goal here. Compliance with classroom rules is not all is also not required here. Intrinsic motivation and doing this through autonomy, because different options are given to students here. The correct answer, and you all have selected the correct answer. Which is great. Moving on to the next one. Yes, providing students with varied materials like texts, videos, and audio clips on a single topic is an example of differentiating the content, process, product, environment. Providing a student with varied materials like texts, videos, and audio clips on a single topic. On a single topic. Please highlight on this. On a single topic is an example of differentiating the content, process, product, or the environment. So when we talk about various materials related to topic like text, so what is text focusing on with respect to topic? Can anyone put it in the chat box or just unmute and speak? When a text is present on a single topic, what does it focus on? Yes, content. It focuses on content. What is a video focusing on? On a topic, if you're giving a video based related topic, what is it covering? The content. And even if you're preparing audio clips on the same topic, it is covering the content. So the correct answer here is content. The process is not focused here. The product is also not being thought here. You're just providing materials. Remember, the first word itself gives the answer to you. Providing students with materials, varied materials in the form of text, videos, audios, clips, right? On a single topic is example of differentiating the content for the students. Any doubt here?
Uh, so why can't it be a process? Because the same content has been provided to him, but he's learning in the different ways, right? Text, videos he's seeing visual learner, audio auditory learner. Text he may have to read or write. It might be a tactile learner. So why can't it be a process?
When we talk about process, see, when we see content that is before the class, right? Process that is happening during the class. And what the teacher is trying to do with it also matters a lot rather than just providing. Okay. The major focus is here is about providing but not engaging with it. When you're engaging with the content that you are being provided, then it becomes part of process, right? Engagement brings process, but just providing them it is more focusing about content. And when they're doing something out of it, then it becomes the product. So here it is focusing on, see, if the word providing was changed with students are engaged with various materials, then it would have become process, Chiranjeevi. I hope I've cleared your doubt.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for asking the doubt. So let us move on to the next one. Yes. The most significant risk of overusing extrinsic rewards in the classroom is that it can improve long-term student engagement, be difficult for teacher to manage, undermine the student's intrinsic motivation, create a less competitive environment. Pallavi says it's option C. Rajiv has also said it's option C. Chiranjeevi says it's option C. What about others? Kavita says it's option C. Yes. So all of you have chosen the correct answer as we had discussed when we were talking about the theory that too much extrinsic motivation can undermine the intrinsic motivation of the child. So what you have selected is the correct answer. Moving to the next one, I think it's the last question. Okay. A teacher who begins a lesson with a lecture, then shows a diagram, and finally has students to work in groups to solve a problem. He is catering to only the auditory learners, only the kinesthetic learners, a variety of learning styles, a single standardized approach. Rajiv has quickly said it's C. Yeah. So all of you have selected C, which is the correct answer. Yes. I hope there's no doubt in this. We have one more question. Yes. Okay. A student who is deeply reflective, understand their own emotions, and knows their strengths and weaknesses, demonstrate strong interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, naturalistic intelligence, spatial intelligence. Chiranjeevi and Rajiv has said it's B. Yes, Nagaraju sir has also said it's B. What about others? Yeah, Pallavi has also said B, and I think Kavita. Yes, no issues. So correct answer, as you all have selected here, is B, intrapersonal. Intrapersonal means within. So reflection is something that happens within, right? Understand their own emotions and they know their strengths and weakness. So these type of students demonstrate strong intrapersonal intelligence. So the detailed notes of the session are available in the app. And thank you so much for attending the session. If you have any doubts, please ask me. Otherwise, we'll meet in the next class. So Rajiv is saying, sir, I joined a little late. If we have time, can you please give me an overview? Surely, surely, Rajiv. Those who want to leave can leave, or those who want to stay can stay. You can just quickly, go ahead. So we were talking in this class about the individual differences, and we were majorly focusing on intelligence, Rajiv. Okay, and uh, we were focusing on intelligence and learning styles. So what we were focusing on is Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. So please, don't include the existential one. Just focus on. So he has talked about different types of intelligence. What he's saying, every individual has all the types of intelligence. All these given types of intelligence are present, but they are at varied levels. Some might be very good at musical. Some might be very good at bodily kinesthetic, that is dancing, running, or something. So he has talked about these 8 different types of intelligences. So they are musical, logical, mathematical, interpersonal, bodily kinesthetic, linguistic, intrapersonal, spatial, and naturalistic. Okay. So this is Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. So you have to remember all the specific terms that are given here and what they talk about. You can, get a know about them in our notes. So this is Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. And then we also talked about learning styles. We also talked about learning styles. And in here, we talked about 3 major types of learners. That is visual learner, auditory, that is visual learners who learn by seeing, auditory who learn very well by listening, and kinesthetic who learn best by doing things. So these are the 3 type of learners that we discussed about. And then we moved into what we were trying to say is that as a classroom teacher, to cater to needs of all these different types of learners, you should use a multi-sensory approach that should incorporate visual, auditory, and kinesthetic in your classroom. And then we came to motivation. We talked about intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation and how they help students. And then we came to differentiated instruction. I hope I have covered everything very quickly, Rajiv. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So thank you all of you. We'll meet in the next class. No issues, Rajiv. No issues. Thank you.